All right, so do you have the winter of blues? Yeah. I've got a little bit of the winter blues right now. And I don't know about you, but we've got snow on the ground. It's about 25 degrees here where I'm living in Gunnison, Colorado. And I think, like many folks who live in the Northern Hemisphere that watch this channel, well, you're also in the thick of winter right now too, which may not mean that you can't necessarily bike pack. It's not impossible, but for many of you, it's certainly less desirable and more, I'd say, logistically challenging. So if you want to sleep under the stars over the next few months, or just want to plan a future trip for years down the road, this video is just for you. All right. Let's get into it. Well, I know it seems magical to cross the world and bike pack on, say, a different continent. In this video, I'm going to attempt to share destinations that are around the world that are hopefully, I don't know, closer to you so that you don't necessarily need to travel too far. So this is one of the beautiful things about the BIKEPACKING.com's worldwide route network. And so all of the routes that I mentioned in this video are going to be linked in the description below, where you can find our detailed route guides with need-to-know information, trail notes, logistics information, a selection of photos, and a ride with GPS map, and the ability, of course, to download the GPX file for said route. Starting with the United States, there are a few popular options or regions to bike pack in the United States, and some maybe overlooked options. So for East Coasters, Florida is a very popular option, and the further south you go, well, the nicer it gets with nice humid days and warm nights. Carlos Bernhardt has continued to curate and update routes for BIKEPACKING.com, creating the Florida Divide and Hurricane routes, which travel through beautiful areas such as the Ocala, Seminole, and Big Cypress forests in the Everglades and the Florida Keys, just to name a few. All right, so heading west now, Big Bend in southern Texas in the Chihuahuan Desert is often overlooked because probably it's not very easy to get to. But with limited rainfall, 60, 70, maybe 80-degree temps from time to time, January to March is a fantastic time to visit. With mountain riding, a mix of single track and dirt roads, it definitely offers a unique and beautiful experience with very special flora and fauna. And just a few hours north, I think it is worth mentioning that the Monumental Loop is also rideable most of the winter, although it's a little further north in latitude, so it can be chilly, but it is certainly attainable, and Matt Mason does a great job of updating the route and creating a great overall route experience. So heading to Arizona, particularly the southern part of Arizona, Phoenix, Tucson, and the surrounding areas, there are countless roads and trails that you can curate your own route, weaving in and out of the cactus and jagged rock formations and just overall beautiful vistas. But we already have some fantastic developed routes, from the Fool's Loop to the Queen's Ransom route right out of Phoenix, to the southern part of, say, the Arizona Trail and the Sky Islands routes further south near Mexico. And I think this is a good time to mention that we also have an overnighters tab on our routes page, so don't forget to take a peek at that for either a shorter trip or to string together a few routes, as there are many in southern Arizona. This in particular is certainly my go-to zone, living pretty close in Colorado, and I continuously am amazed by the landscapes and weather of the Sonoran Desert. Some other areas to consider in the United States are Southern California, but many of the routes, at least on our website, go into the mountains, and well, they're definitely a little bit more fall and spring friendly routes. But that's not to say that you can't necessarily look at the routes that are published on our website and kind of pick and choose some lower elevation options. The coastal area near San Francisco can also be rideable in the winter months, but rain can also be an issue, so you gotta keep that in mind. There are a lot of overnighters that can also be strung together or stretched into a weekend ride, especially in this area, so don't forget to take a peek at that overnighters map. All right, so before we get any further, I just wanna mention that this video is supported in part by Old Man Mountain. Dealing with a jostling or swaying load can be a real headache, but Old Man Mountain racks have you covered, keeping your gear snug and secure and allowing you to concentrate on the trail instead of consistently adjusting a wiggling load behind you. These racks are designed for both small and heavy loads, offering incredible versatility that fits nearly any bike thanks to their fit kits. So if you're in the search for a more secure option, Old Man Mountain has a solution for you. So to check out the full range of Old Man Mountain racks, you can click on this card right here, or also find a link below. All right, so while the US has some nice warm temps, you're definitely bound to be a little bit more comfortable riding in Latin America. And while the Baja Divide starts pretty far north, and the mountains can certainly bring some cool temps and even snow in the winter, this is certainly the ideal time to start riding the route if you wanted to do the entire route to avoid the summer heat and hurricane season that follows in the fall. All right, so if the 1,700 mile or 2,700 kilometer route is a big undertaking, there are definitely more digestible portions to tackle of the Baja Divide, such as the beautiful and tropical Cape Loop, which is certainly high on my list. Heading further south, Oaxaca sits in the southern part of Mexico, south of Mexico City. And Cass Gilbert has spent, I'd say, the last 3 winters, I think, down there enjoying the warmth and building a network of routes that start in the city center. These routes range from overnighters to week-long tours, and the best time to visit is from November to February, with January being the coolest with average lows of 51 Fahrenheit or 11 Celsius and average highs of 82 Fahrenheit and 28 Celsius. All right, so I should also mention that winter is a fantastic time to tackle the Trans-Mexico route, which is an epic 3,500 kilometer route developed by Mark Watson and Hannah Black that makes its way from Mazatlan to the Mexican-Guatemalan border. Central America can also host various routes that offer a nice tropical warm winter getaway. Guatemala, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, all very attractive destinations when the riding is, I'd say, less than ideal in North America. You can usually count on great riding in Costa Rica, with December to March being very comfortable and dry. So we currently have 2 published routes in the area, 1 coastal and 1 larger loop incorporating both the mountains and the coast. In particular, the Nicoya Peninsula Traverse is certainly high on my list. All right, so despite Colombia being in South America, most of the country sits north of the equator and offers excellent winter riding from January to March, where it's typically drier. However, the rainy and dry seasons definitely vary slightly depending on the exact location you are within the country. So the collection of Colombian routes on BIKEPACKING.com is called the Andean Bear Corridor Route Network, a conservation-based bikepacking project promoting responsible and sustainable cycling and connecting the city of Bogota to the surrounding ecosystems. As we continue along and move across the Atlantic Ocean to Europe, where Spain and Portugal offer some of the warmest temperatures and closest logistics for folks living in Europe. While it might not be steamy hot in this particular zone during the winter, Spain's coastal regions, particularly in the southern and eastern parts of the country, certainly enjoy mild winters. And there's abundance of routes and, I'd say, sections of routes that can be pedaled in the winter months, including Ultravasir. Venture a bit south across the Strait of Gibraltar in Africa, and you'll find Morocco. While the Atlas Mountains may require some weather watching in the winter, they remain passable usually. And with consistently pleasant daytime temperatures down south, Morocco is an excellent spot for a winter escape. The famous Atlas Mountain Race kicks off each year in mid-February, and following Logan's advice, March is actually the perfect time to set off on the route of caravans, a 700-mile or 1,126 kilometer journey from south to north that takes you through the Sahara and eventually to the beauty of the Atlas Mountains. All right, so heading down to East Africa from January to February to early March, the East African climate is warm, dry, and humid, and a great time to visit. So between Logan and Virginia's time scouting out there to Tristan Ridley's Kenyan Bike Odyssey, there are various options to choose from that will certainly allow you to immerse yourself in Eastern Africa landscapes, wildlife, and culture. All right, so I've always had a bunch of friends head over to Southeast Asia to enjoy winter, particularly to climb. And they always had really great, amazing things to say about this region, especially Thailand, where conditions are ideal from November to February. The monsoon season typically is ended, the trails are dry, and the temperatures are much cooler. The 244-mile or 393-kilometer Lana Kingdom route in particular looks absolutely stunning, with amazing food, incredible vistas, and plenty of desirable looking roads. Stay tuned for more from this region, as there are a few things in development. All right, so while this video is certainly made to fuel ideas to travel a short distance within the Northern Hemisphere, It is hard to ignore a few exceptional bikepacking destinations in the southern half of the world. While the Oceania region is very warm from December to March, Australia in particular, some areas such as, say, the mountains in New Zealand offer some really dreamy routes and pretty lovely weather from November to February. And heading eastbound, the 300-mile Tasmanian Trail is also a feasible option, traveling the entire island from coast to coast through a diverse range of landscapes. All right, so moving over to South America, Chile and Argentina in particular, during the summer months there, it's definitely prime time riding. The Andes High Country is just a cyclist's dream. And while later in the summer is certainly a more reliable cycling experience with a little bit lower river crossings and the snow gets to melt up high, it's still a worthy consideration to get a mix of remote high alpine riding in northern Chile, all the way to staring down sea creatures at the Straits of Magellan. Well, that about does it. Clearly, there's not everything on this list, just a hand-picked selection. But I think I did a pretty good job, especially as it pertains to the routes on BIKEPACKING.com. So if you want to see something, see a route in particular, a region covered on BIKEPACKING.com, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you have your own local overnighter to share, please send it in for review, and you can find a link to do so below. Our ultimate goal here is to have overnighters published in nearly every country in the world. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want to help support us a little bit more, you can do so by signing up for the Bikepacking Collective. The Bikepacking Collective offers a lot of awesome perks, including signing in to our website, and you can kind of select the routes that you want to do as wish list routes or the routes that you have done. It also includes the twice yearly bikepacking journal, among other things. So to learn a little bit more about the Bikepacking Collective, click on the card in the top right corner, or you can also find a link in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further. The blues, the bloop, boop, 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 blues, the bloop, boop, 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 blues. Do you have the blues? Do you have the winter, winter blues? Winter, winter, winter.